Good evening, everyone. We are back on Word of Mouth.
Wham of Wham.
The track introing us today is Lost in Your Eyes by Tommy James and the Shondells.
Steven's radio voice is coming out.
I'm really happy to be back today with myself, the primary host, Chloe, the secondary host, and then also our guest today, Myres.
Hi.
I'm a pretty big fan of this crew. We have a particularly Allen-heavy squad today.
Yeah.
It's kind of a crazy thing to think about. Chloe, how does it feel that you're the last Allen sibling to be on?
Well, it makes sense because I was living in Mississippi. So
It's true.
it is the logical thing.
How often have you called Mississippi Sissamippi on accident in your life?
Never.
What about Pimasissi?
I don't think I've ever mispronounced Mississippi before.
I used to call it Mississippi all the time on accident.
Yeah, I can
I always remember whenever you used to accidentally say Pippi.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm from Brandon, Mississippi.
I'm like, Myres, no, it's called Mississippi.
I'd be like, oh, dang it.
If Mississippi wasn't a regular word in the rhetoric of like America, that would be one of those words, like if it was like an Hungarian word or something, I would be like, what the heck is that word? That is such a dumb word.
Yep.
Well,
But if you think about it, it's just, consonant, vowel, consonant, same vowel, consonant, same vowel, consonant, same vowel. And then Alabama is vowel, consonant, same vowel, consonant, same vowel, consonant. So Alabama and Mississippi are really similar. Similarly, Tennessee.
yeah. Well, whenever we have traveled a lot, whenever people learn that we're from Mississippi, they always spell it for us. Like, they're like, oh, I can spell that.
Mississippi.
M-I, crooked letter I,
That
crooked
happened a lot
letter
whenever
I.
me and my parents were in
Homeback.
Ireland last year.
Homeback.
And I was like,
You're in Ireland. Will you actually do it in an Irish accent, how people responded to you? I know how to spell that.
Just as an example.
oh, I can.
No, you're from Mississippi. I know how to smell that.
Yeah, something like that.
This is my sister, Chloe,
Yeah, I kind of gave that away right off the bat there. Sorry
for
about
anyone wondering. Chloe, is there anything you want the audience to know about you?
To know about me.
Our audience is about 60% male,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all between the ages of like 18 and 26 for the most part, except for like our parents and Steven's parents, and maybe like 5 other people.
Mm-hmm. William, Craig. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
I
This is the
am
best coffee
Chloe
ever.
Allen. I'm Myres' youngest sister. I'm a freshman at Samford University.
Wow.
I
Bow wow.
was homeschooled like my brother.
What was your
Also
high
Ainsley.
school's mascot?
Yeah. What?
What was your high school's mascot?
Dakota.
Yeah. Our dog.
Both of the Dakotas. Also our
We
dog.
believe in a unified Dakota. There is no north and south. There is just Dakota.
Just Dakota.
The whole thing. Okay. I asked you this right before we got on. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this live on the podcast. What do you love?
I firstly love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Praise God.
Praise Jah.
I enjoy learning things a lot, so I've loved being at Samford, where I can learn things that I specifically want to study.
Do you think you like learning life lessons or class lessons more?
Well, I think I like learning life lessons more because I think they're a little bit more practical on the day to day. Whereas like with an education, it's more for your
Job.
future job. Yeah.
I was thinking about that this morning. We're recording on a Sunday. Me and Myres go to the same church, so we heard the same sermon this morning. and our pastor.
Mark 14:1 through 11.
I don't know.
I think.
You know better than me. I don't know. But he was talking about how education has a price. There's for sure a price. But when you're making your decision on whether you want to pay that price, your decision is based upon a value, which is different than a price. And I was thinking about that because the other day I was listening to one of those YouTube videos where they get all the people that disagree in a room and they like do head-to-head with Jubilee videos. That's what they're called. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about, this one guy was making a stance about how education, it doesn't matter. And the other people were having to explain why education does matter. And it was so interesting how all of the people that went up to the stand to talk about why education matter really only went after like why the education, like why the classroom part of college matters, like makes the price or the value like high.
Yep.
And none of them talked about the social dynamics of college. And one of the things that I think is the most valuable about college that makes it worth going to, unless you're like a doctor or something like that. Like, I think that's super true. That if you're a doctor or if you're like an engineering student or like a lawyer, you need to go get formal education. But for the vast majority of us who are not, we just go to college and the majority of the things that we learn is just a bunch of soft skills. Or that's like, we have the opportunity to learn soft skills or life skills or life lessons, as we just call them. And I was thinking about that this morning because a specific metaphor that our pastor gave was about education. And he was like, you have certain values that you kind of place with things. And I think I definitely like just don't value like class lessons, especially nowadays. Like you could go learn anything you want to online. So I always felt like college was this, I guess, like means to an end. But like you literally could just like start a social media page and do whatever you want nowadays. So I feel like college is like this super interesting dynamic now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that college has helped me be a little bit more disciplined because even though you can learn almost anything online now, I'm not very good at like making myself learn on my own, but I have the desire to learn. Mm-hmm. And so whenever I'm in like a classroom format, it helps me learn better because I have actual deadlines and I have to like actually do the work.
Yeah. You know something crazy that happened? I haven't told you this yet, Myres. You're going to think this is fascinating.
I can't wait. Hurry, tell me.
The craziest thing anyone's ever heard in their entire life. It's all downhill from here after you hear this.
Hurry, tell me. I can't wait.
So I'm in seminary. I'm in my last year of grad school.
Wowzer.
And you know, I don't know what everybody's thoughts on AI is in terms of school, but for me, I had this, my friend Emma, shout out Emma Drake, live in Paris right now. I wonder if Emma ever listens to this. This seems like something she'd randomly listen to.
I kind of feel like it.
Emma Drake, if you're listening, this is about you.
We talked about you.
I don't know if this is allowed either. I feel like I might get outed for this, but essentially, I used to write, especially early on in seminary, I had like long, big papers in every class. So I like, at the end of a semester, I always have like 1 or 3 or 2 page papers all the time. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like really long, like 12, 15, 18, 10, whatever page papers, like term papers, I would write it all out. And I'm just like, I have a really hard time with like fluidity and thought and like connecting ideas. And I think that is a muscle to be formed. I think I get better with it over time. What I used to do is I used to work on it as much as I could. And then about 2 or 3 days before it was due, I would send it to Emma and ask her to edit it. And she was the first person that's ever edited my papers that didn't just like check the grammar. But now Grammarly is completely bought into Safari. So it's like grammar editing isn't a thing anymore because Grammarly does it for you. And then I specifically remember Emma like changing like sentence structures in my paper for the first time because she was studying pre-law. So reading a theology paper was just like this fun thing for her. She's super smart. She's like a nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff. So that's why she likes doing that. But anyways, I used to do that. And we walked through the ideas or whatever. And then I learned that AI would just do that same idea for you. So for, quite a while in like grad school, I've been like writing my papers to the best of my ability, and then I let it kind of take the words that I've written and then it kind of affects like sentence structure, like something like, if I'm saying like, hey, I'll come get, like, I remember texting Alan this morning, like, hey, I'll come get the truck from you tomorrow. I have to take Gracie's car in tomorrow morning. And that sentence better, it goes, I'm taking Gracie's car in the morning. I'll come get the truck from you tomorrow. Like the two thoughts are just like backwards. It'll do that for you instead of me having to like read the paper and do it. So anyways, just like random ideas like that. But I feel like I do that. I feel like I know a lot of people in undergrad and in postgrad who do that specifically with papers. And because like papers, I feel like mostly I feel like my main job in it is to formulate thoughts based upon like multiple research outlets. God, this is a riveting podcast so far. Holy
yeah,
cow.
we're having so much fun.
But anyways, the fascinating thing that happened is that for the first time ever in seminary, I have to turn in an AI paper, I have to turn in my pre-AI version of a paper and my post-AI version of the paper. So like there's like a submission thing for my paper, and then they're like, if you used AI assistance, post your pre-AI assisted paper.
Like your rough draft?
Yeah, like your rough draft before AI helped it. And that, like, I just have no idea, like, what they're going to take from it. I guess they're just, like, wanting people to actually write the paper instead of just, like, completely doing it. But they've never talked about it. They never made any comments about it. But it's, like, for my biblical counseling course.
It's really interesting.
It's such an interesting thing. So I feel like the one thing that I want to talk about is, I'm literally in seminary and they're making us do this. So I'm assuming that if I'm in seminary and they're making us do this, they definitely are doing it in like secular institutions too. And that kind of makes it. Seminary is also secular somehow too. I don't really know what the proper definition of secular is, but anyways, I feel like AI doing that in papers just also talks to this whole like education thing in general. And I just like have no idea what that means for education as a whole. I just thought that was so interesting. Me and Myres have talked about this a ton. But as a freshman in college, there's a lot of college left. And you're also doing, you're doing computer design, something like that. But you earlier were saying that you were doing game design specifically because you were just learning a lot of the ways to design and use art on computers. But you're specifically learning a skill that the job market is like closing more and more and more and more like jobs out of it right now because like quite literally computers do it themselves now. So as you're thinking about all that, what comes to mind, Chloe? That's kind of a huge, big old wraparound statement. I'm just curious like what your thoughts are on this. I'm also curious yours, Myres.
Well, I think that...
Are you basically summarizing what Chloe thinks of AI? Is that more your question?
Yeah. That is the way to take it, yeah.
With AI, I think that there are a lot of helpful things. Like the way that you use it, I think that's harmless. I know some people who use AI to write like their entire paper, which is just almost, kind of plagiarism, I guess, since AI takes stuff from the web to formulate what its answers.
Ideas, yeah.
But I'm honestly not too worried about it because with AI, it still has a long way to go, especially with art.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that. There are a lot of like memes where it's like, generate this, and then it just doesn't do it properly. You have to be incredibly specific for it to do something even close to what you might want.
Yeah, it's called prompt engineering.
Yes.
It's like a whole field.
It's super fascinating too how, the only time I've ever noticed this is whenever I tried to get ChatGPT to plan a trip for me and my family to maybe it was like a Hawaii. What is that thing called? Like whenever
excursion?
No, when you're on a trip and there's like itinerary. There it is. Our Hawaii itinerary, and then also our budgeting. And by the time I got it specific enough to where it actually was doing what I was wanted, my one thought was like, I should have just freaking done this myself.
Yep.
Okay, this isn't even like helping me, like in the long run. So I totally see what you're saying.
Mhm. So I'm honestly not too worried because I think that if you want quality work done, then you're going to hire someone to do it that
Yeah.
way.
Especially when it comes to art. I'm also super interested in what you meant by that. Like when you think of the idea of like what you want to do in technology or computers or whatever adjective appropriately describes what you want to do, what area, like why do you use the word art in that?
And also tell us what you're studying,
Yeah.
Okay.
because I don't think our listeners know.
Well, my major is called game design and 3D animation, but it teaches you pretty much any art that you might want to do digitally. Teaches you how to animate, how to model stuff on the computer,
Mhm.
teaches you some graphic design things, teaches you how to program. So you learn pretty much any art-based or creative way to create art like on the computer. You're learning that in my major. And so I use the word art because it's pretty much just digital art that you're doing. And I mean, right now I'm in a lot of just normal art classes.
Yeah.
And so whenever it comes to creating things online, like graphic design, or even like with a movie, if you're animating something, then there's a lot of art and thought behind what you're creating.
Yeah.
And so I think no matter what you're creating, it can be considered art, whether that's creating like an interior or like architecture or what I'm doing. I think that that's all considered art. And so it just depends on what kind of art you are wanting to create, because art is a very big umbrella.
Sure. There's a wasp on the window.
Oh.
Myres, I believe in you. Bang.
Ooh.
I don't understand how wasps keep getting inside.
We got like, I figured out there was a wasp nest outside of our back door, so we just don't go out that door anymore. But the other day we were cooking, and I left the door open, and after it was when you were
Yeah, I was
over,
about to say, was that
and
when
there
I was
were
there?
like 3 or 4 wasps in our house after that, and I had to like hunt them down and
It
kill
was
them.
really funny.
It was scary.
He started out, he just had like some shorts and a t-shirt on, and then like he went and he put some jeans on, and then like he put a sweatshirt on because he didn't want to get
This
stung.
is still when it was hot outside, so I looked like I had winter clothes
He
on.
like slowly started putting more and more articles of clothing on to protect himself.
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
Side tangent.
Wow.
Do you learn coding or anything like that?
We do.
What do you learn?
It's either C++ or C sharp.
Do you do Python?
No, but
Okay.
I know a little bit about Python because that was very popular
Yeah.
with robotics.
Yeah.
Which is what I did in high school.
So for those of us in the room, me, that don't know what you mean by anything that you just said, what is C++ or C sharp?
So I'm not in those classes yet, so this is like my very
Not yet educated.
educated answer. But from
Okay.
my understanding, those are the ones that you use for like animating and game design. So it's more of like a creative type of programming,
Okay.
by my understanding. And they're apparently a little bit outdated, what I've heard. They're a little bit harder.
Interesting.
But like I said, I haven't taken those classes yet, so
Yeah.
I don't really know.
That's so fascinating.
My understanding of learning code as someone who took some very elementary, not elementary literally because I was in college, but some very basic coding classes was you learn maybe 1 or 2 coding languages and it helps you understand the process by which you can then learn other ones. So you might learn Python, which is kind of like the basis for most computer stuff. But then if you went to a job where they required you to know C+ or whatever, C++, you already kind of understand how to learn it because you learned Python. So it's more about like learning how to learn code by learning a specific coding languages because
Yes.
those are always evolving and changing.
Yeah. It's a very like transfer. You can transfer it very easily from one to the other.
It's like an Optimus Prime learning skill.
There are a lot of basics, kind of like, so with language as a whole, you have your verbs, your nouns, your adjectives, but in different language, they format it differently.
Yeah.
It's the same way with programming. You just have to, you have your basic things, like you do with language, a noun and a verb and an adjective, but they will format it differently, kind of like with an actual spoken language.
That is so fascinating. Well, that's insane.
What do you hope to do as a career, or like, you know, why are you studying this?
Well, I have been into art for like my whole life, and I got into 3D modeling on the computer in high school. I was on a robotics team, and I was the lead designer, so I ran our 3D printer and designed our robot on the computer. So whatever was driving around would be fully modeled on the computer. And that's kind of whenever I got into more digital stuff. And I think that is something that's a little bit more tangible in a job than like drawing and painting, just because there are more and more jobs becoming available.
Yeah.
And I want to do a lot of 3D modeling. So if you want to, say you're renovating your house and you want to see what the house is going to look like on the inside before it's done being renovated, so you can kind of picture what you want in real life and see if you want to change anything, then you could hire me in 4 years to model whatever you want your house to look like, and then you can walk through the house and see it designed the way you are picturing it.
Kind of like Webkins.
It's just like the Webkins.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you got into like computer animation and design in high school, similar to how I did, because I played Minecraft. And, you know, you can build houses in Minecraft on a computer and design things in
It's
Minecraft.
kind of interesting how, you know, you liked Minecraft and then you were like, I'm going to figure out how to make Minecraft. And then we like coffee. And then we were like, let's get a job as baristas.
It's like
kind of the same
thing.
Pretty
thing.
much the same thing.
Yeah.
And just as complex as Minecraft is, that's how complex coffee is too. So barista's pretty chill and easy.
Once you master being a barista, you can get paid like $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same as when you master 3D animation and design, because you can get paid like
$15 billion
$1,000 an hour.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's wild to me too. Like, coding is such a fascinating thing because, like, the other day I learned that Mark Zuckerberg used a very early version of ChatGPT to help him code Facebook, and he invented Facebook in like 2005.
Yeah,
4
has been around for a lot longer than people actually realize.
Why is it just now coming to fruition? Like, why is it just now like doing things?
That they've created softwares that are a little bit more easily accessible.
Yeah, I think it's that it's become like usable for the common man.
Yeah.
Because like Mark Zuckerberg had to be a computer coder to be able to understand. It kind of goes back to the prompt engineering thing.
Yeah.
It's like you need to know how to tell a computer to do something, and that's what a coding language is, basically.
Yeah. By my understanding, it was more of something to help you along the way rather than something to create for you. Like right now, you can just tell AI to create something for you, and then it'll create something.
Yeah.
But back then, it was like more of just like a help you along the way type thing.
Sure. I remember Wit. I kind of forgot about this till right now, but I never had any reason to use it. I never really even cared about using it. And then I remember Wit, like first year post grad, he like talked me into trying it out.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to check this out. And then he said something along the lines. While he was wedding planning, I think him and Shelly used it a ton, his fiance, or now wife. And I remember him being like, act as a blank blank blank, write a whatever. And he'd be like, act as a young man trying to plan his bachelor trip for 16 guys, make sleeping arrangements in a room that has like 12 beds. And he like did it like these logistical things that take me like a lot longer to do because I'm super not type A. I'm very type B. So it was it was super fascinating. I remember him having to do because I think that I've like before I ever used AI or like whatever you want to call it, that kind of search engine, I definitely always just view things as Google, where you ask a question and it gives you an answer. Mm-hmm. You don't give it a prompt and it does something for you. And I remember thinking, like, reshaping the way that I think about that was so fascinating. Yeah. I'm curious, like my grandparents, like, they can't even wrap their head around Google. Well, I mean, my grandfather can, but like my two grandmothers are like pretty, like, they still like use Facebook in like this super interesting way that like only one person, like only very few people do, where like, they'll have no idea how, I don't know if this is actually true, but they'll have no idea how the marketplace works, but they'll know exactly how groups work or something on Facebook. And or they'll have like no idea how eBay works, but then like Amazon, they'll know completely how to use it. And it's just like this super interesting thing where I feel like tech is just super interesting, that as soon as you figure out the language and you feel like specifically you figure out the benefit it gives to you, it like becomes like part of who you are. It's super interesting. Like, I remember when the iPhone got rid of the home button, and I was like, that is so annoying. That'll never catch on.
Yeah.
And then now, like, home buttons seem so limiting. It's
rudimentary.
Crazy. Yeah. And the same thing, like, they just came out with that like scrolly like extra button, and I was just like, that is so annoying. Why are they adding something else? But then probably 5 years from now, I'll be like, oh my gosh, how would iPhones even work without this button? You know? It's so fascinating to me. I also think that the action button actually completely failed. This thing right here, like they got rid of the volume thing and they added this extra button on the iPhone. That completely flopped. I like never use mine. Maybe other people do though. So I'm really thinking about tech right now. Myres, I'm gonna give it to you to segue somewhere else.
Okay. How has your first semester of college been? You're not quite done, but you're getting pretty close. You got another like month and a half.
We get to sit. Hey, guess we get to sit down on brother sister catch up time. Let's go.
It's been surprising how fast it's gone by.
Yeah.
And I also thought that it would be a lot easier to manage time because I was already used to not having like school for basically 8 hours every day.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not as used to so many things happening. Like, there are so many events that happen where you have so many different options on what you could do like every single day. So even if you think that your day is pretty empty, like things always just pop up and then you're doing something. So it's been...
Do you like that?
I think so. I like being busy. Whenever I don't have anything to do, I kind of go a little bit crazy. I like to be doing things. So I like that it's kind of a faster pace. But sometimes it can be a little bit stressful because if I don't manage my time properly, then I'll like struggle to get like homework done, stuff like that. But
what, like, I'm so curious. I kind of want to just relive the fun energy of freshman year. Like, when you say there's so many events happening that you're having to pick between, like, what events are you talking about? Like, give us, or do you remember like a time this past week where you felt that or something? Or even like tonight, like.
Okay. I have a good example. So last Wednesday, I had work, and there was also the Pike Up car wash happening that night, and also
And you can't miss that.
and also
A must go.
a little concert that was in the UC. Like it was like the students playing.
Cool.
And my roommate and our mutual friend, they wanted me to go to the car wash, and they also wanted me to go to the concert, but I couldn't go to any of them because I had work. But then also I had to go to the Kyo house at like 9:45, which was during my work shift. I had to go to the Kyo house because we were doing...
When was your work? When was your shift?
It was from 2:45 to 10
PM.
Yes.
Dang. Okay. Anyway, so 9:45 Kyo house.
Yes, I had to be there because we were doing Big Little stuff. It was right before the reveal, so I had to go and pick up my like gift or whatever before I figured out who my bigs were. And so
electric night here. I'm definitely picking up what you're...
Yes,
Wait,
and so
quite literally that night after 10 p.m., you figure out who your big was?
No, it was the next day.
The next day, okay.
Yes. And so there were 4 things happening like all at the same time.
Wow. But, okay, so as a freshman, being into this whole thing, you have your job.
Yes.
Which is something that you sign up for like beginning of the year. And then that affected like 2 things that like could have happened, but objectively couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Or subjectively could have happened, but objectively couldn't have because of your job. How did you manage that? I feel like that's such a fascinating... I feel like that's a complex that a lot of people find themselves in forever, like all the time. You know, like birthday parties happening now. My mom just asked me to come have lunch with her. Mm-hmm. Or like, you know, my buddy's getting engaged in Atlanta, but my friend Myres has a birthday party in Birmingham. Or my friend is getting married in Charleston. Oh, that actually means that if Gracie and I go there, then Gracie and I couldn't have autonomy over what we wanted to spend our money on this month.
Yeah.
Oh, Alabama is playing Tennessee in a preseason game that, you know, is pretty insignificant, but also my buddy is getting engaged.
Yeah.
It was Wake Forest, and I chose to go to the engagement.
Oh.
Whatever.
Other people did leave that party to go to that basketball game, though. That's crazy. All right. How are you managing that?
Well, I don't really have much FOMO, to be honest.
Good.
And so that's helpful because...
Do you have much FOBO?
What is that?
Fear of better options?
Sometimes, yeah. But most of the time, there's one like event that either I have more friends going to or one that I need to go to more than other ones that makes the decision kind of for me. But
wait, so you make your decisions based upon I have more friends here than here, therefore I go to more friends? Well, that's okay if it is. I just want to figure that out.
It's probably closer to friends that I'm closer to or can talk to better because I'm still developing relationships. It's only my first semester. And
Facts.
so
how many friends do you have so far?
190.
That's a hard question. I have 2 best friends, my roommate Anna Willard and our friend Natalie Porterfield.
Gang.
The 2 that the only 2 of your friends that I've met.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the people that I hang out with all the time. But I also have other friends that I hang out with on a like less regular basis.
Okay, let me make this about me for 5 seconds.
Okay.
Like, what do you have on Tuesday nights?
It depends on the Tuesday.
Okay, cool. I was just curious. All right. Anyways,
what about on like November 2nd?
November 2nd? Let me think about that.
It's 2 Tuesdays from now, I think.
That's a Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any plans that Tuesday.
I know something you should do.
Okay. would it be going to Redeemer?
Yes.
Well, Myres is going. I think isn't that the night that you're going?
Yeah, I'm running sound that night.
That's the one night that Myres is going to be there. So I just want to let you know that whatever Tuesday you start on, you're never going to stop going on Tuesdays after that. Like whatever Tuesday so you might want to push it off even in next semester.
You're very confident.
Yeah, I work there. I'm pretty confident in it.
No.
It's fire, dude. It's fire. Like you don't even know it's fire.
Oh, fire.
Okay, so you have 2 best friends.
Yeah.
And then besides that, how many other people are in your circle of people that you're like regularly seeing?
Well, I have my bigs. I have 2. Bigs.
Which are?
Greer and Lydia.
Shout out Greer and Lydia. I don't know either of those people.
Gang.
So I see them, and I have my GMS cadre
Oh, yeah.
that I see once a week, and I will sometimes get lunch with someone in that group.
Hey, here in a few weeks, too, you got your parents back in town.
Yeah.
Facts.
Very excited.
You better soak it up while you can. Not living in the same city as your parents.
I'm excited that they're moving.
No, I'm so excited they're moving here. I hope they get a house with a pool, selfishly.
Yeah, me too. They looked at a
That'd be
couple.
awesome.
Hey, guys, whenever y'all listen to this.
They'll be listening to this on Friday.
Oh, okay, well, this Friday, just want to say, if you care about adding Steven's preferences into your house searching process, let's get a pool.
We looked at
And also Claire's preference, and
I'm so
also
interested.
probably mine, your,
Do you think
and
that
Ansley's preferences.
Do you think that they understand like how involved I will also like? They obviously understand how much you will be involved in their life more. Do you think they understand like how much more I will be involved in their life?
I actually don't know.
Because like, do they understand how involved you are in my family's life? Because I feel
think
like
so.
that's kind of what
I mean,
because
I work for your dad, so like they know that I'm like integrated.
Like the other night, like we were having like a family dinner, and Mom was just like, "Where's Myres and Claire?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "We're literally, it's only us right now."
Yeah.
That's just.
I mean,
how
I've
Myres
been
is.
on numerous of your family vacations.
Yeah, that's actually hilarious to
Like-
think about.
Yeah.
Chloe, did you know that? Did you like before you got here, or I guess since you've been here? Actually, I'm really curious. Does it feel like you live in the same city as your siblings? Like, because I feel like freshman
good
year has
question.
to be like, you must feel like you live in a tiny little city, and Birmingham just kind of operates around you or something.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like that. I haven't left campus a whole lot.
Sanford's like a big old cruise ship. I remember explaining that way freshman year. Like it's like a cruise
is a
ship
good way of
that's parked
explaining
there. It's like a cruise ship at port in Homewood.
Yeah.
And like every once in a while, you're like, I guess I'll get off the boat and go to freaking coffee or something.
Yeah,
Taziki's.
it definitely does. I could just never leave. Technically,
And there are a lot of people who don't. Some people
getting-
don't even bring cars, and they just don't leave.
I don't.
They get
understand
tired of the
how
Euro
people-
bowls and the calf. They go get a Euro bowl at Taziki's instead.
I really don't understand how people can not have a car though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
What are okay? You, Natalie, and what is Anna? Okay,
Yes.
you, Natalie, and Anna are like, we got to get out of town. We got to go. We got to go do something off campus. We got to get off the cruise ship. What do y'all go do? What's y'all's like go to? Cookout shakes,
We
Melbourne
have gone to
Starbies.
Cookout quite a bit.
Okay, what's your shake order? What's your cookout order? Here we go.
I get
Today's cookout segment where we're going to talk about what's your cookout order and how did you get there.
ooh, I get
This has been my
the-
favorite one lately.
Yeah.
I get the Reese's shake.
Oh, just the Reese's?
Yeah,
That's super weird that you
Not
pronounce
two
Reese's
flavors.
Reese's.
I
What did
didn't
you just
say
say? Reese's?
Reese's.
What did you just call it?
Reese's.
You did not say Reese's.
She did
bro.
say
Please.
Reese's.
You said Reese's.
Reese's.
Okay.
Reese's.
I think
You don't
said
say
Reese's.
I don't say Reese's.
Reese's?
Yeah.
It's
Reese's.
definitely Reese's.
I don't think so.
I think
It's
it
gotta
is
be
Reese.
Reese's.
I mean, if you took the S off, it'd be Reese.
Reese.
R-E-E.
Reese.
Isn't it C?
Reese's.
Isn't it a C? R-E-E-C.
I'm just thinking
Yes.
that guy that's like, babe, 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 in Hot Rod. He's the guy who does the sound over for the Reese's commercials. I think he says, he might say Reese's.
Then it must be right.
Reese's, because it's SC.
Steven has this thing where he thinks you have to get 2 flavors in a Cookout shake.
Oh, I
honestly never really thought about. I've never really thought that was an opinion, but I definitely am like, why? It's the same price. Like, why not?
I didn't know that you could do that, to be honest. Wow. But I also
what do you wait,
2
Myres? What do you
flavors.
get?
Butterfinger.
Finger.
I do
Not actually,
like
no.
those.
We discussed this last time. I
Yeah.
don't have one yet.
I also usually get fries.
I got Butterfinger peanut butter last time. So fire.
Claire's been getting Oreo peanut butter, I think.
Oreo peanut butter is a go-to of mine lately. Oh,
My friend Anna gets mint chocolate chip, and then Natalie started getting Reese's after I did.
I feel like if you get peanut butter, if I were you, I'm assuming that you get Reese's because you like peanut butter.
Yeah.
You need to get peanut butter Reese's because they genuinely put so much peanut butter in it that at the end I'm assuming you eat yours with a spoon like human beings do.
It's impossible to drink them.
Yeah, you have to wait like 4
soft
hours
served
till they're
ice cream.
drinkable.
Yeah.
But that's honestly kind of crazy to think about. All you're doing is just getting ice cream whenever you get milkshake.
Yeah.
But anyways, they put so much peanut butter in and they put it at the bottom and then they like swirl it. So at the after you eat the whole thing, you just have like this huge scoop of peanut butter at the end. It's awesome. It's my favorite part of it. I kind of want to go get a Cookout shake tonight. You want to do another segment?
Yep.
Okay, cool. You want to do another segment sponsored by
Mamitas. Sponsored by Cookout
Raising
peanut butter
Cane's.
shake.
Raising Cane's.
Butterfinger.
You want to do another sponsored by Butterfinger. We're way ahead of schedule, me and my small group guys, and on our small group pamphlet thing. So right after this, I'm just gonna take them to do something fun. Should I do either? This is today's segment of Cookout shakes or something else. So today, should we do Cookout shakes? As a person who that's your go-to, that's my go-to. I think that's everybody's kind of go-to,
Right.
or something else. And if it is something else, what do you do?
What do I do if I don't go
What
to
should
Cookout?
he-
What
do?
should me and my roommates, me and my small group guys,
Small group guys.
me and Evan and Ben and Sam and Reed. Also, 2 of them are studying for MCAT, like freaking crazy men right now. So, little Cookout could be fine.
Yeah.
They also, yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it open ended. What do you think?
Well, if you're interested in a sweet treat, then you should go to Cookout.
Okay, so we should just go to Cookout. That was today's segment.
I think you should go kick a soccer ball at Railroad Park.
Yeah.
Oh,
if
that's
you
a
wanna
good
do-
freaking
If you want to
vibe.
do an activity,
soccer
then
ball.
you wouldn't really want to go to Cookout because that's just like getting ice cream.
Did you say you don't have one?
Well, you could
Can I borrow yours? Is yours in
I
your
was
car?
going to say, Sam Edens is borrowing mine right now.
Farts.
you could go to Cookout, get ice cream, and then go play soccer.
I'm thinking that's the vibe, but I don't have a freaking soccer ball.
How do you not have a soccer ball?
Because they get stolen at Men's League, or not
that's
Men's
true.
League, the J. And
Yeah.
I honestly haven't really played soccer all year, so
You could play pickleball instead.
I was at.
Throw a frisbee? Do you have a frisbee?
Ooh,
I have a couple frisbees.
that's
I
fun.
think I don't know. I have a football. Throwing
Football.
football would actually probably be a vibe for them. Yeah. That would be fun. Okay, so I honestly haven't talked about this on the podcast, so I could talk about this for a long time. Well, I guess we were 2 weeks ahead, so I haven't talked about this on the podcast since it happened. But I went to the outlets last week, and the outlets mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. And I was at
They're very meaningful.
yeah, and outlets were one of those places where whenever I was a kid, I could breakfast, lunch, and dinner all day long. Outlets every day, freaking loved it. Whenever they opened, the Stone River outlets right across from the Buc-ee's in Leeds. Now outlets are weird because Amazon has just like kind of ruined Amazon has driven prices so low on like off-market goods that there's not really even like deals anymore. Like going to the outlets is more effort
Yeah.
than just getting something on Amazon. If you're going to get like a cheap off-brand version of something, or like you think about going to Nike, like if you're going to get purple Nikes, you might as well just get like black and white, off-brand tennis shoes or something like that. So I feel like Amazon has just kind of made the outlets like completely useless and obsolete. So the outlets are like all of them are out of business. It's fascinating. So the stores that have come into the outlets are so interesting. Like there's a model train They don't sell anything. It's just a model train. Like, it's the Rotary Society of Leeds. Just has like a model train in one of the storefronts.
Yep.
There's one that's it's like a Mountain High Outfitters overstock. So it mainly is there so they can keep stock there for all their locations, but then also like if something gets lost in shipping or whatever, like they'll have it there. So for example, this Great Bear Wax Co. Have I showed you this yet, Myres? No. Do you remember what Great Bear Wax Co. was?
No.
Josh Carnley's brother's candle company that he had back in the day, and Josh Carnley is Jake Carnley is his brother. Josh is one of Myres and I's friends. He's definitely going to be on the podcast one day. But anyways, Great Bear, super popular candle company that existed. He sold it in probably 2020 to some other candle company,
something like that.
And so the fact that I found a brand new unsealed Great Bear Wax Co. company, it's also Santal, which was their best flavor or smell, whatever. But I found it completely unsealed, like top wrapped up still, whatever.
That's funny.
The Mountain High Outfitters, so that's like an example of something. Like it's been sitting in their stock shelf for 5 years, and they just like put it out at this thing. So that was another example. Anyways, the point I'm getting at is they had this other just like random as frick overstock store. Like, I mean, they were selling, I walked in, like freaking, they had sinks. Right beside it, soccer uniforms. Right beside that, they had like huge paintings. Like, it was just like anything that they got for cheap.
Store of things.
Yeah, they just like would put it up for sale.
Things store.
And then I walked in the back, and then those soccer balls they had at the J, the ones with the peace signs on them, super cheap soccer balls.
Little blue ones, right?
Yeah, they were in this huge thing, and it said soccer ball, $40.
4D?
40. And I was like, surely this means like you could buy the whole bin of them for $40. Like, I don't because it's like it was very much so like an
pack of 40
thing.
for 40.
Yeah, but it just said soccer ball singular, $40. And I was
chance.
like, what the freaking heck?
No chance.
Anyways, all of that to say, I just thought about that because the soccer ball thing. So back to our segment of Cookout or something else.
Yeah.
If like say next time Anna and Natalie are like, let's go get Cookout shakes. I'm so freaking tired of this. That's my freshman year girl impersonation.
Okay.
Let's go get Cookout shakes. And then you're gonna be like, guys, what if we did fill in the blank? If that happens to you,
Sonic shakes.
if that happens to you tomorrow, what do you say? What's something you've been secretly wanting to do all year and you haven't done it yet? Good question.
We have a bucket list of
like
things.
All three of y'all?
Me and Anna share one, but Natalie does everything with us.
She hasn't made the cut yet.
Well, no. We started it at like the very beginning of the year, and we were like roommate bucket list, but Natalie just does everything with us. And so
what does Natalie's roommate think about all this? Three person action.
Her roommate is a mutual friend, and so they're chill, but they're just in different like circles of friends.
Gotcha.
So they're just doing their own thing.
We'll just say she won't be the roommate next year. You know what I mean?
We're hoping that the three of us can room next year because Natalie basically just lives with us. She's in our room.
Wait, are y'all gonna live in the Kyle house next year?
Probably not.
Okay, where are you thinking you're gonna live? Off campus or in Beeson or in West Campus? Chill. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, back to what you were gonna say. So what's on the bucket list? Will you actually pull up the bucket list? I'd love to.
Yeah, my phone is over there.
Yeah, I'll grab it. Don't even worry.
Oh, okay.
I really want to hear what this is.
Okay.
Before you do that, I was gonna ask if you've done like what's the craziest thing you've done so far?
Craziest thing I've done.
Mine is filming.
The craziest thing that I've done. I've had a lot of interesting stories, like interesting things that have happened.
There hasn't been like it's 11 p.m. Let's just leave town and go back to Jackson, Mississippi for 24 hours and then come back.
You haven't like killed anybody?
No, there has not been any murder.
Bummer.
Our spontaneous things are more of just like Natalie's family lives 20 minutes away. So if we wanted to like escape and stay somewhere else, then we usually just go there.
Oak Mountain.
But
Play in her soccer field front yard.
yeah.
Driveway.
Driveway, my bad. It's the only picture Myres.
I want to go back there and play in their driveway.
They have like old. It's either like
Like,
football.
yeah, my friend-
football field turf
My
or
friend Chloe's like older brother. He's 25. He wants to come play in our driveway. Is that okay with y'all?
they have a soccer goal, and then they have like old. It's either soccer or like football field turf.
It's the old football field
that
from
was what-
Vestavia.
Yeah,
Myres was one of
it's
that.
like lined over by
Sick.
where. Yeah, and
They have like
so-
the yardage numbers, so they could actually be like, okay, let's go practice shots from 20 yards out.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool. Okay, your list.
Oh yeah. Let me pull
So you haven't done anything like absolutely ballistic crazy yet.
You haven't like flown to London on a dime.
No.
You haven't just like flown to Colorado on a whim and like slept on
Dude,
somebody's
what's
couch.
what's your job for if you're not doing this kind of stuff, bro?
Okay.
Money in, money out.
That's college. Money in, money out.
Okay. Our bucket list. Some of them are just like normal things. But we haven't been to Buc-ee's yet, so that's on there.
Wow.
You could do
There's
that
your.
right now.
Honestly, I might do that with my small group guys. Guys,
Yeah.
Cookout or Buc-ee's? Up to you.
I'm like looking at these, and some of these we've done. We want to do. I don't know if y'all have heard of this, but there's like these memes online where it's like random mission of the day, and it's like something really stupid, and you do it out in public, but it'll make people like kind of like turn their head. Like one of them was like get something that looks like an urn and then like grind up Oreos and then like put it in there and then like eat the Oreo dust and like in public
Good.
and make people be like,
Oh
"What are you
my
doing?"
gosh.
So do something like funny like that where like they call it the random mission of the day.
Random mission of the day. Let's go
Yeah.
try to make people think that we're eating someone.
We want to go to a farmer's market. We've one of the things on the bucket list was to go back to Mississippi before my parents move.
Mississippi.
Yeah, and we did that, but we also want to go to my roommate's house. They live in Huntsville, so we want to.
Wait,
go
y'all
to
went to
her.
Mississippi?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
That was back the beginning of this month when I went. They were also
Yes,
Cool.
we went at the same time. And we
Huntsville.
wanna-
Huntsville's kind of cool. That'd be pretty fun.
We want to.
there. I thought Anna's from Jackson.
She is. So she's moved a couple times. So she graduated in Jackson, and then they moved
Tennessee.
To yes, and then they moved this past summer to Huntsville.
Cool.
We want to do a projector movie night because my roommate has a projector, and we
Ooh,
could do
fun.
it in our room. That would be fun. But we also have like a bunch of like
You should
freshman tradition stuff on here.
You should have a bucket list day where you try and check off as many
As many
things
as
as
you can.
possible.
That'd be
Mhm.
Put
fun.
that on your bucket list.
We
Huntsville.
have,
Projector movie.
I think you could do all of the things you've said so far in one
some
day.
of them aren't. Yeah, we want to go to Sidetrack.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, haven't been there yet. I
went
need
there on
to.
Thursday.
What I need to add is go to Cane's because Natalie's never been.
I guess y'all still
went to
didn't do that in
Tuscaloosa one time,
Mississippi.
Yeah, we didn't do that in Mississippi,
Yeah.
so we'll
Shush,
have
maybe.
to make a little trip.
Canes in Tuscaloosa is super interesting. It does hit still, but it doesn't hit as much as going to an actual Canes.
Mm.
I still think the one in Tuscaloosa is better than Guthy's. I don't know if you've ever been to. Sorry, me and my buddies in college called Guthy's. Sometimes we called it Guppies, but
I call it yummies.
Guthy's is so freaking good. But I still think Canes in Tuscaloosa, even though it's not as good as real Canes, is still better.
Yeah, I still think Cane's is the best of that kind of fried chicken restaurant, but
Uh-huh.
the best in Birmingham is Guthrie's.
Yeah. Unless you want to go to like Eugene's. Like if you want to go like nicer vibes.
Yeah, you could go to Hattie B's, but then you're gonna
Yeah.
spend like $20.
Yeah.
on
Guppies is only
fried.
10.
Yeah,
Oh. Okay.
Gumfries.
Montgomery. I love going to Montgomery and when I'm in Birmingham to get chicken. Why isn't Montgomery on your bucket list?
There's so many
We're
things to
still
do, like
developing it.
going
you could go
there.
to the Capitol.
You could go to Montgomery to go to Montgomery because there are so many things to do there, like going there.
There's a whole river there, and they don't have any parks at all on the river.
There's no way to get in the river.
I want to add like visiting like Atlanta and Chattanooga. Some things.
Oh,
like
chat would be a fun thing. You could actually spend a whole day in chat. Atlanta, I feel like if you didn't know what you were doing, Atlanta would just be so freaking overwhelming.
Yeah, Atlanta would just be like, oh man, there's traffic and like a bunch of stuff all around me, but I don't know if any of it's like worth going to.
It's funny too, like whenever people are like, oh, I'm going to Atlanta, I think we're gonna go to Valor. I'm like, that's just your whole freaking time you'll be in Atlanta.
Yeah, the whole afternoon is going to Valor.
I have a few friends that live in Atlanta, and so I could ask them like where I should go.
Yeah.
One thing you should do is like at 8 p.m. on a Saturday, you should leave to go to Atlanta and go to Cafe Intermezzo and then come back.
That was crazy. Me and Myres and his ex-girlfriend did that one night. Yeah. We literally left. I think we left at 7, 6.
It was
late at night, and we just went and got food and came back. It was awesome. She had never been to Atlanta. I remember that being the primary motive of why we went. But I also remember going in college.
It was pouring rain.
It was.
Like, got soaking wet. And then we went in there and got, like, cheesecake and coffee. And then we left.
It was so good.
It was awesome.
It was honestly super fun. But I remember going to Atlanta whenever I was in college and going to Muchacho, which is this, like, taco coffee shop in downtown. And I remember being like, this is the coolest thing. Like, that... I feel like what you want when you go to Atlanta to find like a cool place and like feel like you're in like this huge city. Muchacho scratched that itch fully for me for the first time. I go to Atlanta a lot to go to like sports stuff or like concerts, but actually being like an AT-alien, I was like, this is so.
Yeah, I think you could have a really spectacular day if you did like Muchacho and then Chrome Yellow. And then like walk around the neighborhood near Chrome Yellow, and then like go to Ponce and do the whole Ponce City Market.
You could go to a food court, and then you could go to another old factory that's a food court, and then you go to another old factory that's a food court.
Yep.
And then you could do. Oh, and then what's the High Line? No, the High Line's what it's called in New York.
Well, the Belt Line.
The Belt Line.
I was going to say you could do Ponce and then finish off with Cafe Intermezzo and then never go to Atlanta ever again.
Yeah, then you'd have done everything.
That's all you had to do.
Unless you're into... Well, yeah, you could go to the World of Coke. The World of Coke is awesome. I love the World of Coke.
You could probably do all of that in one day and then never go back to Atlanta ever again.
Natalie and Anna do love Coke. So
they would love that place. Yeah. I remember going to Myres. If I've already shared this on the podcast, stop me. But I remember going there to go to a USA Jamaica soccer game at the Georgia Dome whenever I was like in high school. And beforehand, Dad was like, somehow it came up that I had never gone to the World Coke, and Dad was like, "You never to the World Coke? We got to the World Coke before."
Makes sense.
And then we went. And it's awesome, but at the very end, they have this room with all of the sodas that they have from all over the world. And I remember being so excited to try all the sodas from all over the world. And even like they have the Coke from India, the Coke from Mexico, the Coke from America, like all the different, even just like normal Cokes there. And I drank so much soda. It was crazy how much soda I drank. And going into the stadium, USA lost to Jamaica, which was actually insane. And then I had a horrible headache, like a sugar headache from drinking so much soda. And it was just like all together, just a bad day. I was so upset.
The thing about that room is that the floor is so sticky.
That is so true.
You're like glued to the floor. Like you have to like lift your foot like a little bit extra.
Pretty much levitate if you want to get around there swiftly.
You hear like the crunching.
Yep. Clay, what's your favorite place you've ever been?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably outside of the US was probably Ireland. And then inside the US is probably Vermont.
I was wondering if I had been to all of the places. I had my money that Ireland was probably going to be your favorite.
Yeah. The only downside on Ireland was whenever we went, our luggage was missing. And so we had to kind of backpack through Ireland. And we only had like 2 outfits. But it just added to it. Honestly, allowed us to be really fast because it was like whenever we'd leave the hotel, we just had to grab our backpack. But
where did y'all end up finding it while you were there?
We did. Yeah. We actually had our suitcases air tagged so we could see where they were.
Oh, cool.
And so they were like, they kept telling us that they were going to send our luggage to the hotel we were at. And we could see that the luggage was at the airport in Ireland, but like they kept not sending us the luggage. And so we had to just like go to the airport and be like, hey, you have our luggage. Give it back.
Please give it. That's wild.
But that was
I feel like air tagging the luggage is always helpful. I did that whenever I flew my golf clubs to Hawaii. I was like, but that is crazy.
I heard a funny story one time. There's this guy who had like a he was a car guy in England, so he was telling some story on like a video or something, but he had a business where he had a bunch of vans that would, I don't know if it was like moving vans or what it was, but so many vans, and he was pretty disorganized, but he would lose track of where they were, and also sometimes they would get stolen, and so he would hide air tags in the van so that if it did get stolen, he could go and just like
find it,
take it back. Basically, it's really funny.
I lost my keys a couple weeks ago. I got them back, but after
did you get your wallet and everything back?
Yeah, I did, but all of my cards were already canceled, so it was not very helpful. But
where'd you lose it at?
In the parking garage. They fell out of my backpack, and yeah, I think someone ran over it because there were like some things that were like cracked.
Oh man.
I was like, oh, but I got it back like a couple days later. But after I got my wallet back, I was like, I'm air tagging this immediately.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So.
My air tag died. That's where I'm at in my air tag journey right now. So I didn't know that they could die. You can replace the battery. So that's where I'm at.
I was wondering if you could charge them.
Yeah,
how that
you can't
works.
charge it. You have to just replace one of those little disc things.
Yeah.
One thing I'm curious, since you talked about Ireland, Chloe, one thing I've noticed about you since you've been in Birmingham is you have really good style.
Thank you.
It's like better fashion than either of your siblings. It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
And I'm really curious. There's another freaking wasp. You gotta be kidding me.
I'll get it.
That's a big one.
Where do you get your tell me about that. Like, where do you get your fashion from? Like, where do you get your taste from?
That's a good question. I like more simple things. So, I have a very just like black sweatshirt, a black shirt under this. I like more solids. And then
Why?
I just like the simplicity. I think that a simple outfit can go a very long way.
Facts.
I really like fun shoes, so I have my Sambas on. I want to get like a fun color in Sambas. And
I saw like a neon green and pink colorway this morning at church. Thought they were cool.
Yeah, I want to get some red ones.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Since being here, I've loved thrifting because the thrift stores in Mississippi are not good. And the thrift stores here are fun. So I can get like cool patterned sweatshirts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that I got more into fashion whenever I started visiting here because the fashion in Mississippi is just not very good.
Sure.
And so like the more I came here and I saw Myres and Ansley at Samford, I was able to kind of see what other people were wearing. And then I guess I got some inspiration from Myres and Ansley at the beginning. And then from there I could kind of develop my own sort of taste.
I think it's so interesting where like Birmingham is like, it's super fascinating how you can go to certain areas and very distinctly like the fashion will change. Like yesterday, spending time at Dawn Patrol, the coffee shop, there's a certain type of person that goes there, a certain type of fashion that goes there. And then this was Friday. I went to Dimitri's that morning, which is like a super old, like kind of diner place. There's a lot of like workwear type vibes. And then you go from there to Dawn Patrol, which is full of like Ethan Spates type people, like hipsters.
Yeah.
And then you go from Dawn Patrol to, like I went to like Edgewood, like by Odie's, and that area is like completely full of like SEC boys and girls, like just like very typical on clouds, polos, that kind of thing. And or like if you went to June, like what the type of person's gonna be at June. It's gonna be like the
Hardcore music.
Yeah, hardcore
Black.
music. Or there's gonna be people at June with like the coolest
Black
clothes on ever, like in all of Birmingham. I feel like, or
where
at June, like people are always be dressing when they go to June, especially if you go on like a Saturday or something like that.
I saw a guy who had Sean Witherspoon's on like 2 days ago.
Shout out Sam Rapp. Yeah, but I think it's so interesting how Birmingham is it's obviously like not marginalized. That's not the right word. It's divided. Like there's a lot of division in Birmingham with different like pockets of people and stuff. But fashion-wise specifically, I feel like there's all these different people. And I think it's super interesting because it seems like in Birmingham, people are like whenever I was in Raleigh, people were just kind of like run-of-the-mill, pretty medium or like vanilla when it came to fashion. It was a lot of just like denim, graphic tee, pretty agreeable. But then here, people are like super in to their niche. So like if you're an Alabama sorority girl, you are dressed super into that way. Or if you are into hardcore music, you are like decked out, all black, everything, gauges, or not gauges, but like they have the haircut to match it. They have tattoos to match it. They have like everything. Or if you're into whatever else you want to call it. Like if you're into J. Crew, New York, whatever kind of like fashion, like I feel like people are super into it.
Tucker Vines.
Yeah, like Tucker Vines. But there's rarely people who are just kind of like, I don't know. That makes it sound like there is nobody. I feel like there's definitely still people that are just kind of like, whatever. Like if you go in the suburbs, but in downtown specifically, and by downtown I mean like Homewood, Mountain Brook, Birmingham. There's like a lot of diversity.
It's been interesting to see kind of the different styles on campus because I think that the freshmen are just kind of bringing whatever they had from home, and so they don't really have like the Birminghamification of their style.
Sure.
And so it's interesting to see like the very different outfits that the different freshmen are wearing.
Yeah. Birminghamification. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like what happened to you?
Well, I think that the longer you're in a certain area, the more you just kind of start to develop those types of the cultural things in the area. So like what you were just explaining, the different parts of Birmingham have different types of vibes and people dress differently. And so people who are moving to Samford have not yet seen those things.
Sure.
And then
I see what you're saying.
Now that whenever they see those things, they can kind of more refine their style. Yeah,
it's kind of like how all Cayo girls by the end of the year have like flat bill ropers, but like they didn't show up to Samford with flat bill ropers, By the time they leave, they all got it. So I feel like that's super valid. I also think it's super interesting too, how whenever I was at college, I remember being so blinded in on Samford that I thought that me and like a guy from another fraternity were like super different. And then whenever I got into post grad, and I'd be in a room with like me, the guy who went to Samford from the other fraternity, and then a dude from like say like Ole Miss, or a dude from like
Auburn
Alabama. Or Alabama, or even like a dude from Chicago who didn't go to college, or a dude from like
total transplant from another part of the country.
Yeah, like just someone from like freaking
Oregon,
Pakistan or something like that. I remember being like, me and this other guy that went to Samford from this other fraternity are like the same person in comparison to them, even though we might like dress differently, personality wise. Like everyone at Samford is so similar in comparison to people from other, and that's not like that's the rule. Obviously, there's exceptions. But I feel like that being, I remember that it completely blowing my mind whenever I went into postgrad. It was just like how similar people are. They go to similar colleges because you have no idea how much the culture's building you and like who you're becoming and stuff, which is really cool. Which brings us back to our first conversation about this whole value thing about college.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to Samford for the people element more than probably anything.
Mm-hmm.
My parents always talked about what like a Samford person was.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think a Samford person is? How do you think Mom and Dad described it?
I think that Samford people, well, something that my mom always says is that Samford has the people that are all the best in their schools. Like everyone is SGA president from their high school. Everybody is
Valedictorian,
valedictorian.
salutatorian, whatever
And
that.
so I think that there are a lot of driven people at Samford who have, even if they don't necessarily know what they want to do with their life, they still have kind of certain purposes or certain values that they're following with.
Yeah.
And I think that at Samford, everyone is usually very kind and inviting for the most part.
Yeah. I think that's like one thing that is super interesting, how a lot of people get really frustrated with Samford people in the Birmingham world because of that. Because I think people automatically assume it's fake. Well, that's not my assumption. I don't really know why that would be frustrating. Or they just think it's cringe or lame or something like that. Or just like annoying. I don't know what it would be. But just like in general, just like the benefit of the doubt that we give, that we, like Samford people, I feel like one thing that marks a Samford person is just like compassion in general. Like I feel like we give a lot of leeway, and then we're kind of like the initiative takers in most rooms that we're in. But also, like, I wasn't that way when I showed up to Samford. Like, I remember showing up to Samford and being like super confused by people, because I think growing up, different than y'all two in some ways, but similar ideas I'm sure y'all could pick up on. Like in public school, I remember like hitting up my friend one day being like, I was a backup goalkeeper my freshman year for our soccer team. And I remember showing up and asking like somebody else on the team, or sorry, the guy who was the starting keeper didn't show up that day because he ended up being sick. So he stayed home from school. And his name was Chris Brown, the starting keeper ahead of me. But Chris Brown got sick. He couldn't go. I didn't know until I was like getting in the like car to leave. And I had to call somebody else to be like, hey, you're coming from over here. Will you pick up my like cleats and my gloves? I literally didn't even bring my cleats and my gloves. That was how or I didn't bring like shin guards. Or it was like something that I needed. Like that's how much I knew I wasn't going to play. And then all of a sudden I was like playing the whole game. And I didn't even know that I was going to be the backup goalkeeper, I guess. So anyways, I figured out I was second string. Then I figured out I was first string, yada, yada, yada. And I remember texting this guy being like, hey, can you pick up my whatever they were, shin guards? And I remember him responding to me like, why would I do that for you? Oh. And I was just like, well, I just need them. He was like, yeah, you can do it yourself though. And I was just like so confused in that moment. I was like, I don't understand like why. Because I think like me within my family did that for one another. But that was like one of the first times. Like this guy was like a team captain. Like it was like technically his responsibility, his job to go above and beyond to like care for the team. And he just didn't, for really no reason other than like he just didn't want to, because I could myself do it. And I remember thinking that, and whenever I got to Samford, I remember being like so blown away when people like cared to help, or in general like that. And I mean, I like in my school, I didn't really feel that in my schoolwork because I was a sport admin major, and everybody in my classes were athletes, and athletes at Samford are not like everybody else at Samford. So they definitely were more like eat what you kill, like figure out yourself kind of vibe. But I don't know. I remember being like, I always kind of took that like work ethic of like trying to figure out how to do it myself. Like independence, not dependence, was like my go-to. And I remember like slowly trying to figure that out throughout college. It's like kind of a crazy thing.
It's a very high trust society.
Very high trust. Yeah. Very tight knit. It's honestly like cool thinking about how it is like a little mini city. And how like there's like a mini culture and like a mini economy of it all, but quite literally with like the flow. But nobody actually works at the actual like capitalistic establishments there. But on all of the like social groups, like the SGA, like nobody gets paid to do that, or sororities or fraternities, like nobody's getting paid to do that, the leadership for it, but they still do it like out of the whatever. I think it's all
kindness
crazy.
of their hearts.
Yeah. That's that's really cool. Like that whole idea. Anyways.
Yeah, I always pretty much what you were saying, Chloe, argue that Samford people are high achievers and typically Christian, if not Christian influenced.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a unique combination, I think.
Yeah.
Growing up in like medium town America, there were a lot of Christian people.
Yeah.
But there weren't a lot of Christian people who were like think outside the box dreamers, if that makes sense. And I wanted to be around that kind of person because that's kind of how I am. And it feels really constricting being around non-outside the box thinkers. Small town America, things are the way that they are because they've always been this way kind of people. And it's not that that's a bad thing in and of itself, but if you aspire to more than that, it's really hard to achieve more than that being around people who are constantly speaking against it as if it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Mississippi as a whole or just kind of where we grew up, but there's definitely like a American dream version, like a Mississippi version of that in our area, which is like you can kind of get trapped in that because everybody has kind of the same goal in their life, and it's
to have a boat.
Yeah. I want 2 children.
I want a bass fishing boat.
And a white picket fence.
I just want a bass fishing boat and a king ranch F-50.
I need my
one day, maybe just one day, I'll live on the reservoir.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a bass fishing boat and an F-50.
F-50.
Trying to get a king ranch.
Hey, well, I think it,
Casserole.
it's a truly a beautiful thing to think about how one day, Chloe, you're going to be able to re-listen to this and you're going to get to a little like window into your freshman year.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about, honestly. I think that there's a level of growth that you have between the, like, how old are you, 18? Like, I think like 17, and that's actually crazy. The difference between 17-year-old Chloe and like 20, I'll go 22, and then there's definitely a big jump between, I feel like, when you graduate. I guess you're going to graduate at 21.
Yeah.
Between 21 and like 25 or something like that. I'm 26 right now. I feel like it was a little shorter. But your first 2 years post-grad, I feel like for me that was like
Big grow up.
The most constructive time thinking, like brain development my whole life. But anyways, I feel like it's really cool to think about how all this life that you're experiencing right now is unique, and I'm glad that we have it on record.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we've had all of that Allen siblings on now.
Finally.
Yeah.
Now I just have to have Seth on.
You need to get the
all
rents.
the boxes.
We need to start working on the rents.
My mom and my dad had a good time at lunch today talking about being on the podcast. My mom wants to be on really bad, and I'm just like, I'm trying to get dad on. I've asked him to be on 15 times. He keeps saying no. My mom, as you could probably guess, it was just like, Shane!
Shane, no! You need to get on!
You gotta get them on together. Or get all of our parents on whenever our
And
parents
Shane's
live
like,
here.
what am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
And they're always like, that's not your job. Our job is to get you to talk about things. That's our job.
Right. I don't think people understand how amazing it is to be on our podcast with our host, right, Chloe?
Come on.
Hey, well, guys, thanks for listening. Chloe, true, absolute great time having you on.
Thanks
I'm
for
glad that
coming.
we got to poke you away from your Sunday. I imagine you had several different activities today to pick from. And,
I'm glad you didn't have Phobo because this was the best option.
This was the BO.
Oh, obviously.
This was the BO.
That's right. This was show up. It's the
Really
BO.
was.
Hey, I think that chapter's going to be pretty fun tonight. A, because of your first one with Biggs.
Yeah.
And then B, surprised that you're going to learn when you're there.
Oh, Chloe tried coffee, like black coffee
I
for
thought we
the
were
first
going to
time.
talk about that so much on the podcast. We didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah. We're slowly trying to get Chloe to like coffee.
She didn't drink any of the coffee, by the way. Holy cow. You didn't.
I took 2 sips.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Let's go. Never mind. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah. We she's had some fruity lattes, you know, caramel, whatever's.
Right.
I think actually the first cup of coffee you had ever, right, was whammy.
Yes.
Was that iced something
It
latte?
was like a caramel.
Wow.
or
Yeah, so shout out to
First
to
ever
Whammy.
a corporate sponsor, Whammy.
Yeah. But anyway,
Oh.
that was something we did with Chloe today as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Hey, well, Chloe's just an absolute legend. Pleasure having you on. Thanks so much. Cheerio, then.
Yeah.
You have
Love
any,
ya.
You have any parting words? We have one parting statement. Go.
Thanks for having me. And, you know, the first step to knowledge is identifying that you don't know anything.
Wow.
Welcome to the secret segment of the podcast, where you have to wait till the very end. If you're still here, get to hear the secret things.
Great.
Chloe, over under 1 times you've been asked on a date since being in the Samford dating scene.
Oh, how many times have I been?
Over
asked
or
out?
under 1 time?
Oh,
Do you know what that means?
like
More or
less
less.
or yeah.
It's a betting term.
I haven't technically been asked out, but there are people who I think have little crushes on me.
Ooh. Is there any people that you have little crushes on?
Not really.
Savage.
There's one.
That's not a no.
There's one guy that my roommate wants to set me up with.
Anna,
Yes,
your
Anna.
roommate.
But I've never talked to him before. So
Is it Ryan Gosling?
how did you know? How did you know?
Literally, give me any man on earth. Yeah. That's
Well-
Go ahead, Myres.
No, I was just gonna say Steven loves to make the secret segment about love life.
Yeah, he
So-
does.
I feel like that's so on the nose, though.
It is
Freshman
very
year,
secret.
college. Are you kidding me? What else are we?
I think me and
going on?
Ansley both told Chloe not to date anyone freshman year.
I don't want to either, though.
Yeah, you should take
'cause
Myres' advice.
I
dodge
got out
that
of a relationship this summer, and so
Right with Ryan Gosling.
yeah, with Ryan Gosling, and I don't really.
And you're not ready to get back together with Ryan Gosling.
It's crazy. You dated him and you never talked to him.
Just
Okay.
Who are you gonna bring back on the podcast next time you come? When you come as a co-host?
Who would you rather have on, Anna or Natalie?
I want them both on. Because
That's not what
feel
I
like
asked.
I'm not going
There
to
are
pick
only
one or
there
the
are
other.
only 4 microphones.
Who were you kicking off to have both of them, me or Myres?
Well, I would probably kick you off because Myres is my brother.
Oh man,
We're
See where
bound
your
by
allegiance
blood.
lies.
Get
We're
fricked.
bound by blood.
I think that it would be hilarious to have all 3 of y'all on, because it's like genuinely that I can't even wrap my head around what it would be like to have 3 freshmen college like that. Would,
Yeah.
They
Was-
want to be on.
I feel like y'all like freshmen in college are just such a fascinating person to the rest of the world.
We should have them on and then surprise them with Zion live on the
Oh,
because they would freak out.
they did meet Zion at his concert that was here a few weeks ago.
Good.
This song is so good. I can't believe we just got the Shuffle Monster just put Devo on.
No way.
I love Devo. Do you think that if you had like some sort of space, like a restaurant, and you were like a sous chef, you're cooking, and it's like the busy rush, this song comes on, imagine how high your emotions would be, how you'd be boogieing, right? And then
Yeah.
do you think there would be another song that could possibly come on where you would feel even better than this one?
This one is like groovy, like you're just kind of like having a good time. If I wanted to like really have like the energy or
Sure.
something, then you would want to play like mosh pit music, you know?
You imagine being like the sous chef in the back of the just freaking house. Just
That would be.
That's how you walk in.
Who is your favorite artist right now?
Ooh, I've been listening to Noah Kahan a lot recently, but also
full vibes.
Classic.
Also, I haven't had the aux very much because my roommate is usually the one that drives places whenever we go off campus.
What is she playing like?
She has a wide range, but she listens to a lot of pop. She really likes Bruno Mars. That's what
You need to
she's been
get
listening
get
right
that aux back. That's pretty tough right there. Good for her though. Gracie absolutely loves Bruno Mars. Fun fact, my wife.
I didn't realize.
There it is.
I didn't realize how many Bruno Mars songs I knew. Like,
Yeah.
because I
feel
don't
like
really,
he's one of those artists.
Yeah, I don't really listen to him. But then, like, whenever she would play him, it would just be like, oh, I know this song. Oh, I know this one too. Wait, Bruno Mars sang this one too.
That's how I felt whenever I went to the Maroon 5 concert on accident.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Maroon 5 actually has a lot of songs that are them. You know?
That I know.
Yeah.
Not that I listen to.
That I've heard before.
Yeah.
What if these people just came to my yard and let their dog pee in my bush? What if I would have went outside and been like, get your freaking dog off my yard?
That'd be very grandpa of you.
That'd be very Gardendale soccer team captain of you.
Like shoot a gun up in there.
Chris Brown. That'd be very Chris Brown of you.
That would. Hey,
So
well,
Karen.
hey, so another question I have for you for the secret segment. How has it been managing the computer lab? How has the rec life been? Is that your job, right?
Oh, yeah. I am a receptionist for the gaming room. And it's been pretty chill. I can kind of just do homework while I'm behind there because I just have to make sure people scan in.
Do many people do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are people playing?
A lot of people play Mario Kart
Yeah.
and Smash Bros. Those are really popular
That makes
on like the
sense.
TV. And then people play like your normal like shooter games on the PC. So
Like, you're talking about Fortnite or like COD or something like that?
yeah,
Shooter games?
we don't have COD. It's too violent for Samford's values.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
they do
hilarious.
have like Fortnite and they have like Overwatch and stuff. So
Can you sneak me in?
Surely you can.
I think that they are allowing guest passes next semester for the rec center. But right
But they're
now
not letting anybody in the rec at all.
right now it's only for students and then like faculty.
Dude, that's so whack.
Yeah.
Whack.
Spent so much money to that.
We did
school.
sneak my roommate's boyfriend in this week though.
How'd you do it?
He borrowed a friend of ours ID
Yeah.
that like also had brown curly hair. And then he just like scanned
When
it.
I used your ID to get dinner that one time in the
Yeah.
caf, the guy looked at it and he was like, Chloe? What? And then he saw you sitting like with me and he was like, oh. I was scared he was gonna like fuss at me about it.
With food, you can kind of do that, but like in the rec center, if it was like a guy scanning a girl's ID, then they would be like, "Okay, you can't come in."
Yeah.
Wait, why? Like, how would they know?
Because so on the actual screen, it shows the ID photo and their name on like the computer, so
Yeah.
I can see whenever they scan it, like what their ID photo looks like.
Dang. Yeah, nobody looking like me in Samford, so I guess that's just a big L.
Yeah.
I totally was told by this SGA president the other day that they were gonna let alumni in there.
I've heard that you'll be able to get a membership at some point as an alumni.
They're still trying to figure everything out right now. So like this semester, they're very limiting, but like,
Has it been packed? Like, are people going?
yeah.
Really?
Every single time I go to the gym, there's other people there.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when we go really early in the morning. And
Are y'all like going to do the classes, or y'all just doing workouts?
I
on your
haven't
own?
been to a class yet, but I've heard that they're good from
Cool.
people who have gone. So
That's so interesting. I'm so curious if that would happen. Also, Cole Edens is gym 4 for 40. at X4 if you want to sign up again.
Yeah, I could.
I feel like it's kind of a terrible time.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we're about to start marathon training, then probably not.
I got a new watch face of the vintage Garmin like on there, and
Nice.
I've really been effing with my Garmin today. Speaking of marathon training,
I have like a knockoff Garmin that I'm probably just gonna start wearing.
yeah, I'm tired of carrying my phone while I run, like
Yeah.
to put shortly. Me and Myres are running a marathon. Did you know that?
I learned that today when y'all started talking.
Like just
But
now.
no, y'all were talking about
5
it.
seconds
y'all,
ago?
Y'all were talking about it before we go.
Oh yeah, when I
But
talked
I'm
about
not
having
surprised though. 'Cause-
million.
Yes, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised though, because I mean Myres has been running like a little bit further distances a lot. So I was just
Yeah.
kind of waiting until he decided he wanted to
I'm
do a
kind
marathon.
of getting Chloe into it a little bit.
A little bit.
You're running.
I ran a lot my senior year, but I haven't really been able to run much at all since like
Yeah.
actually being at Samford. But
Hey, well, Claire and Gracie are running the half, so if you want to come down and run the half with us, pull up.
Dang.
You.
the furthest I've ever run is a 5K. So I would
That'd be
I
a
would
pretty
have
big jump
I
there.
was
Yeah.
gonna say, well, Claire hasn't run,
Yeah, Claire doesn't run.
She doesn't
I'm
run.
super fascinated by
so
that. I'd love.
you got
I would
plenty of
just
time to
love
train.
if we could run the first half of it with them, and they would just have to dip.
Natalie.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think it's the marathoners start first, and then theoretically everybody starts finishing around the same time. I think that's how it goes.
Interesting. I don't know. They start at a different point, I guess, and then they because I
Something.
think it's just one lap.
Yeah.
I don't
My
know.
I don't know what
friend
it is.
Natalie ran track in high school, and so she's always like, "I want to go to run," and so I need to go with her. So.
Yeah, her dad and her brother are like freak runners.
Well, her
Freak
sister,
runner.
Her sister runs at Auburn.
Yeah,
Or dad, he a freak runner.
her whole family.
Sounds like a freaking passenger.
Yeah.
Do you want to end it, Myres? Let's end it.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening. We're always grateful that you listen.